Yeah, start with this. So this is your Business Central system. So when you log in, this is how your system will look like. At least today, they go through continuous updates. Um, probably once in a month, and we have great features coming out there, upgrades from Microsoft. So as it stands today, this is your Business Central system, right? So I want to talk about quickly that it is a cloud system. So I'm running this from a web browser. So you might be a great fan of Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Internet Explorer, be it whatever your favorite web browser. All that you need is the link, right? So when you get the license, you for the company, you all that you all that you have to just bookmark is a link, just like any other link, right? And then just paste that link there. And what I recommend my clients to do is just to bookmark it. So you don't even have to know what the link is. You just click a button from the web browser and your system opens up. Okay. Um, and because it's a cloud-based solution, the security again comes along with it. The system understands that it is you who is logging in because it's through the credentials of the system through which you're logging in. So it's not going to ask you for a username and a password every single time and bore you, because every information is actually automatically grabbed by the system when you try to click the link, making it easy for you to quickly access the system. Okay. So the moment you put the link up there, you get the home page. Okay. So key things I want to talk about here is it's a role-based system. So there's a lot of information, like really good information that I can see. It shows me sales this month. What is the overdue amount? A lot of numbers, right? Which is very, very key. And these boxes, what we call as tiles or these KPIs, that gives you key information to various transactions. So I can see ongoing sales in one section, ongoing purchases in one section, and each tile has some numbers in it, which is actually the real-time reporting of what's happening there, right? So if I click on purchase orders that says 8, it takes me to the ongoing purchase orders, which is actually 8 transactions now with the business, right? So just on the home screen, you're able to see a bird's eye view of how your business is performing right now. And when you see something going not right, if there's too many transactions that's being on hold, you can quickly catch this, right? Through these KPIs. So I mentioned this is a role-based solution. So I'm seeing like almost everything, right? Like sales, purchases, and payments, user tasks, and then emails, approvals. And this is because I'm enrolled myself as a business manager, right? As a business manager, you want to know the bird's eye view of everything. But what you can also do is change your setting to a different role, right? You can change now to, for example, a sales order processor. Let's say you're someone who is just creating sales orders and managing the sales. You can turn yourself into a sales order processor role and just click on OK to that. The system quickly refreshes and you will see a different look and feel of the system, right? Now you can see there are different tabs there. So it talks about POs that are ready to be released. Then there are POs that are released, sorry, sales orders, I'm sorry, sales orders to be released, sales orders that are released but not shipped, what's happening on the returns of the orders. If you have multi-company companies, it talks about the intercompany and stuff like that. So your KPIs change, right? And these are all provided by Microsoft, and you have options to personalize and customize these KPIs according to your needs. Okay, so let's say something that you don't deal with returns, you can remove this piece. And then if you want to maybe add more, you can click on the personalization mode and see what else is available that's provided by Microsoft that you can add to this list. So this is the emphasis of a role-based solution. So it's not overwhelming, right? Imagine you have a system that has everything there. It's going to be too cumbersome for someone to use it. They might be overwhelmed. They don't know which one to press, how to go in and navigate. Yeah. So it's completely taken off the list. And you can see it's a clean slate. I mean, it's a cleanly modeled page, and you can still personalize it according to your needs. So personalizing as in like not for the company, for yourself, right? So for example, me logging in as Sai, if I'd like to have something on my menu here just for myself, I can do it, right? For example, let's say I also want to see the chart of accounts. Um, all that I have to do is search for chart of accounts. And this is another point I want to talk about as well. You can see I'm not typing the entire word chart of accounts. I'm just typing a few characters of that function. And the system is intuitive enough to still bring up on the on the list of options that I can pick from, right? And if I make a spell error, let's say I type in like that, right? I intended to type sales invoice, but I'm fat fingering here, and the system is still suggesting you probably might have typed sales invoices, right? And it shows you as the suggested option. Okay. And this is the thing I was trying to talk about on how to personalize your screen. So let's say you want to add a sales invoice button out there because you are someone who's creating sales invoices more often, and you don't see it in that list there. You can search for it one time and bookmark it. So that's the button to bookmark, right? So it's now highlighted. Now what happens is if I go back to the main screen, you can see sales invoices showing up there. And this is going to be saved in your profile. You don't have to do it every single time you log in. The next time you log in, it remembers what changes that you've done, and it's now very personalized. Okay. When we talk about personalization, there's actually a lot more. This is just not about like adding a button here and removing it. You can personalize it even further. For example, if I go to the customers list, okay, this shows me in tiles like the list of all the customers. So let's say you're a company that has a lot of customers, and um, this is taking up a lot of space, and you want to see it like a list form by the name. You can change your view to a list mode. Okay, and let's say you want to add um, um, the address or the country they belong to in this list. So it's easy for you to search by the country. You can again try the personalization option. So settings. So here's the personalizing option. I think this is the first time you're seeing that, right? So you can run this option called personalize, and it's now in the personalizing mode. And you can remove or add, some fields from the page. Okay. So it's kind of showing that it's the personalizing mode. If I click on this button here to add a field, we can see the available fields fields the system offers you, and you can drag and drop it, right? Let's say you want to add the currency of the customer. So this is an available option to add to the list. All that you have to do is drag and drop it, right? That's how easy it is. It requires no coding or no complex um, tasks to clean up your list. So drag and drop it. If you want to remove this, click that button there and then hide it, right? If you want to move the contact up front, you just drag and drop it. It's like how your mind will work. And I think we're very much familiarized with working with the Microsoft's Office suite, because things like this, you are able to cut paste on a table in a Microsoft Word or an Excel sheet. So it goes with the same familiarity in your ERP system as well. So it becomes very intuitive for your team to start using it right away. It does not need uh, any extensive training for someone to learn something like this, right? So if I'm done customization, and let's say I don't want to be seeing this window here, the Power BI window, I can remove it. I just can have to, click on that and say, remove. Oh, so this part is actually hidden. So it's because it's kind of striked out. You can bring it up. You can say show, right? And it now shows up. So you can do a lot of customizations or personalizations on the screen. Sorry, I'll be very careful with my terminology. It's personalization, not customization, because customization is something that we deal with writing a code, but this is like dragging and dropping um, using the personalized mode. Okay. So once you're done personalizing, you can click on the done button and your system is committed to those changes and it'll remember that every single time you come back to this page. There's a lot more. Again, we can have at least 2 sessions for each 2 hours of sessions to just talk about personalization. But that's the key thing, I always bring up in my training because a lot of times what happens in implementations that I've seen with other companies and with other systems as well, um, if you don't get the basics right, cleaning up your screen or your workspace, there's a lot of tension and resistance involved in using an ERP system, right? And I think Microsoft focuses on basic but very important aspects like that to make it very user friendly for your users to start using it on day one. So that's a little bit about navigation features. We talked about how you can find a function, using that search button. It's not even called search, it's called tell me what you want to do, right? Because the system does not force you to type in the exact function where you want to do. You can type in something as generic as like what I typed, and the system will give you all possible suggestions of the features that you can access with that thing that you typed in. Okay, so for example, sales invoice. Let's say you're someone who wants to know more about how to enter sales invoices, right? So you can, um, yeah, you can go into sales invoice and try it out, but you can just type in the whole stuff and click on this button here to search for help. Now, this is where Microsoft does it very well, um, where there is out of the box documentation, right? So I just typed in sales invoice and I can see bunch of documentation that Microsoft provides you and updates or upgrades every single time they go through any changes. So this is the most updated information that you can know about this function in the system because it's connected to the cloud system and it is constantly updated by Microsoft. So you can just click that button and it takes you to the Microsoft Learning platform. It talks about why you need to create a sales invoice, how you can create a sales invoice, what are the steps that you need to do, to create a sales invoice and what possible options you got there, right? With detailed steps on how to click, where to click, how to post and so on, right? This is a really good thing, not just for the users, also for consultants like us, because this is an easy way that we keep ourselves up to date with what's happening in the solution. So that's a very powerful navigation feature that we felt that we wanted to share with you. That explains how intuitive Business Central is. What more can we talk? We can talk as simple as, on a sales invoice. Okay, let's say purchase invoice this time. And you're required to record a purchase invoice and you get an invoice from a vendor that has the tax already included in the cost. But when you record it in the system, you have to split the tax and the unit cost separately. So these are very basic requirements that I've been constantly hearing from my clients. How can I split that value, or how do I do the math really quick? Because oftentimes in other systems, what people do is they take a calculator, right? They look into the total value, they do the math, to get the unit cost because the system calculates a tax on top of it because they don't want to double entry that, right? So let's say, you got an invoice for $113, right, which includes a 13% of tax. Okay. But in the system, you're required to, as per best practices, you just want to enter the unit cost separately and the tax to be posting in the tax entry table. And instead of doing the math with your calculator, you have a very easy input like here, that you can do $113 divide by 1.13, right? That's the math that people use to get to remove the tax part of the amount. So you can use arithmetic operations like this And when you press the tab button or the next screen, the system calculates that. So it's an inbuilt calculator, for every amount field. So you don't need anything external. So again, there are a lot of things like this, on depending on the screen you're in or the function that you're performing, that the system is constantly being updated, through Microsoft to make it easy for you. Okay. And things like this, like, it's not being posted, it gives you like good warnings. Let's say you're trying to record an invoice, because again, this is a very basic um, scenario that I've seen in almost every implementation, I can say. People record an invoice, they think it's all done, and they click on the close button, thinking that it is recorded, but it's not actually recorded. As we accountants know, it needs to be posted, right? Because it needs to hit a lot of sub ledgers, like the vendor's ledger, the tax ledger, and then you want to update also the purchase ledger and so on. So it does not happen until you post it. So basic things like this, when you hit the button by mistake or maybe in a haste, the system gives you a prompt. It's not being posted. Do you really want to exit, right? And then you can take a decision. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that part, and then you go ahead and post it, and then you come out of the screen. Um, so a lot of intuitiveness this way, right? Uh, I don't want to get in too much into the details of every module, but just to give you a feel of how easy it is on the system's intuitiveness to start with today.